This story begins with the events in Burma on October 9, 1983, when the South Korean president was on a diplomatic visit to Myanmar. However, North Korean secret agents had planted a bomb and detonated the meeting place. Although the president survived the attack, many Myanmar and South Korean officials died in the incident. Intelligence agents from both South Korea and Myanmar believed that the attack was carried out by North Korean agents. Myanmar ultimately severed diplomatic ties with North Korea as a result of their attack. Sometime later, a closed and confidential meeting of 5 high-ranking officials, including South Korean intelligence, agreed to carry out a covert retaliatory attack on North Korea. This was because the cabinet and the president at the time did not approve of severing diplomatic relations with North Korea, fearing that it would lead to war. Only these 5 officials knew about the secret operation to punish the Aung San terrorists and eliminate them. Their first plan was to infiltrate Pyongyang and assassinate 30 North Korean army generals.
이건 전쟁하자는 겁니다. 감히 한 나라의 국가 원수를 나라가 조상집인데 이거 죽어라 하는구만. 사회주의 국가인 버마가 바로 국교 단절을 선언을 했는데 우리가 무대응이란 거 이거 국치입니다.
그럼 우리도 칩시다.
Presidential guards Lee Jin-pyo and Park Moo-yeol were tasked with gathering people to take part in this dangerous mission. Before starting their mission, Moo-yeol went to the hospital to see Lee Kyung-hee, his wife, who had just given birth to their child. His wife seemed worried because after the news of the attack in Myanmar, her husband had not given any news. But seeing Moo-yeol back, Kyung-hee's feelings were relieved because her husband was safe. They were supposed to spend the whole day together, but Moo-yeol said he still had work to do, so he had to leave his wife and child again. Moo-yeol didn't even have time to name his son at that moment and asked his wife to wait for him to return to name their baby.
위험한 데 아니지?
걱정 마. 반드시 자기 곁으로 돌아온다. 우리 아들 곁으로.
Moo-yeol's next task was to gather his trained friends to carry out a secret operation to eliminate 30 North Korean army generals. They were immediately sent to Pyongyang to assassinate the targeted generals. Unfortunately, after they successfully killed the generals and were about to return to South Korea by submarine, the high-ranking officials changed their plans, so the mission had to be aborted. The 21 Special Operations members were to be eliminated to cover up the case and keep it from the public eye. As soon as they reached the submarine, the naval forces inside opened fire on them one by one. Only Jin-pyo survived after being saved by Moo-yeol, who sacrificed himself to shield Jin-pyo and held him underwater until the submarine left. Moo-yeol couldn't hold on. He passed away with his friends after asking Jin-pyo to take care of and protect his wife and child. Jin-pyo was truly devastated and deeply saddened. After paying his final respects to Moo-yeol, he released his body, which quickly sank to the seabed. His only goal that night after the attack was to return to South Korea safely, so he swam until he reached the South Korean coast. The officials who canceled the mission showed no remorse, except for Choi Young-chan, who had promised to protect the members he sent. He had fought desperately for them, but his voice was drowned out, and no one supported his decision to save the soldiers because the risk to the country was too great if the special operation became public knowledge. On the same night after successfully returning to South Korea, the first person Jin-pyo met was Young-chan. He wanted to kill him to avenge his friends, but before he could kill Young-chan, someone knocked on the door, and Jin-pyo decided to leave, threatening that he would return to make everyone involved in the decision to eliminate the 20 Special Operations members pay for what they had done to his
우리 배반한
friends.
20명의 목숨값 반드시 받아가겠다.
After that, Jinpyo went to Muyol's house to take his son away and asked his wife to continue her life. By boat, Jinpyo took Muyol's son, who hadn't even been named, to Thailand. The child was eventually named Yoon-sung by Jinpyo. Muilai. That night's journey, amidst the storm and the vast ocean, Jinpyo was determined to raise Yoon-sung and make him very strong to avenge his own father. Time passed very quickly. After the tragic incident experienced by Jinpyo, he had been raising Yoon-sung alone for 10 years in the Golden Triangle region of Southeast Asia. It was a beautiful tropical region, but also one of the centers of narcotics production. Jinpyo had apparently become one of the bosses producing and selling narcotics in that area. Although he seemed very cruel, his nationalist and patriotic spirit still existed. He never allowed anyone to send drugs to South Korea, and if caught, Jinpyo would kill them immediately.
다른 데는 마약을 팔아도 한국엔 안 된댔지.
Meanwhile, Yoon-sung, who was growing into adulthood, was trained from childhood to become an elite soldier with high abilities. Jinpyo didn't pamper him much. He constantly pushed Yoon-sung to train, even when he saw that his best friend Muyol's biological son was injured or exhausted.
밖에 못해! 제대로 하란 말이야!
As a child, it was only natural for Yoon-sung to ask who his real parents were. He once secretly entered Jinpyo's room and found a photo of Jinpyo posing with Muyol and Kyung-hee on their wedding day. Yoon-sung asked about the woman in this photo and wondered if she was his mother, but Jinpyo refused to answer, instead saying that his mother had been dead for a long time, and then tore up the photo. Yoon-sung cried. He was angry at Jinpyo and ran out of his house in tears. He stopped in front of a local resident's house who knew him and called Young-soon to come closer so she could stroke Yoon-sung's head, who looked sad. The boy just wanted to feel the affection of a mother figure. Yoon-sung realized that he was lonely, but tried to keep living his life by having fun and forgetting his sadness. Before he knew it, Yoon-sung had truly grown into a young man. One day, he went to a crowded village in Thailand and saved a Korean man named Bai Shik-jung, who was being harassed by Thai gang members. Seeing that Shik-jung was a fellow Korean, Yoon-sung helped him escape and even took him to Jinpyo's house. Jinpyo scolded Yoon-sung severely for bringing Shik-jung with him, but after talking to Shik-jung, who claimed to have worked as a chef and proved it by making Korean dishes, for them to taste, Jinpyo finally allowed him to stay there as their personal chef.
이름이 뭐야?
배식중이라고 합니다. 식충이 아니고요. 식중입니다. 시식식의 무거울 중. 할아버지가 지어주셨습니다.
배식중.
예?
도망치는 순간 죽는다. 여기서 밥이나 하면서 써봐.
감사합니다. 감사합니다.
Shik-jung, who became very close to Yoon-sung, told him that he had an acquaintance named Kim Na-na, whom he considered his own daughter. She was a very beautiful girl, and even just from her photo, Yoon-sung was attracted to her. The days after Shik-jung arrived began to feel quite pleasant for Yoon-sung, who had been lonely all this time. He felt like he had a new friend. However, it wasn't easy for Shik-jung to adapt to the military-style discipline that Jinpyo enforced, especially seeing the murders he committed. If there was a traitor within their group, Jinpyo would not hesitate to eliminate the traitor's entire family. Once, when Yoon-sung was practicing shooting, Jinpyo forced him to kill the wife of a key member who had betrayed them. The problem was that Yoon-sung had a very gentle heart. Even though he was raised very harshly by Jinpyo, Yoon-sung could never bear to kill another human being. Yoon-sung made a deal with Jinpyo. If he could hit all his targets, the traitor's wife's life would be spared. Jinpyo agreed. Yoon-sung shot all his targets in a short time and then left the shooting range.
내 법칙을 어떻게 지켜내는지 잘 봐라.
아빠!
좋아요. 내가 쏠게요. 쏜다고요. 내가 저 표정만 다 맞추면 용서해 주세요.
그래. 용서란 걸 해보지.
On the same day, while Yoon-sung was resting, he realized that the Thai gang who were chasing Shik-jung had come to their house, carrying weapons. Yoon-sung immediately acted quickly, securing Shik-jung while he fought the gang members. But, in the process, the Thai woman who had been taking care of Yoon-sung was shot right before Yoon-sung's eyes. Yoon-sung immediately lost his mind seeing the tragic incident. He came out of his hiding place and was almost shot, but fortunately, Jinpyo and his men arrived to chase away the Thai gang. Jinpyo could only watch as Yoon-sung ran after the fleeing gang leader, wanting to kill him. Tragically, due to Yoon-sung's carelessness, he stepped on a landmine planted by Jinpyo. Although the gang leader was killed by Jinpyo, who chased after Yoon-sung out of concern, Jinpyo was then injured while trying to save Yoon-sung from the landmine.
아빠.
His injuries were quite severe. Shik-jung was very worried and asked Yoon-sung to stop the bleeding on Jinpyo. But at that moment, Jinpyo refused and instead asked Yoon-sung to remove the bullet from his right shoulder. That bullet was the bullet he got 17 years ago when he managed to escape the assassination ordered by the officials, and the same bullet that pierced Yoon-sung's father. That bullet was very special because it was a symbol of revenge for him. There, Jinpyo, stuttering, finally explained the truth to Yoon-sung about who his biological father was, and his desire to take revenge on the people who killed Yoon-sung's father and his other friends. Jinpyo wanted Yoon-sung to replace his father and Jinpyo himself as his adoptive father to avenge the deaths of his friends.
넌 살아서 네 아버지와 내 원수의 심장의 총알을 막아라.
그래서 날 그렇게 혹독하게 훈련시킨 거였어요? 혹사하라고?
Fortunately, although he was severely injured and lost a lot of blood, Jinpyo didn't die and survived. Once he had recovered somewhat, Yoon-sung talked to him to find out who the killers of his biological father were. Yoon-sung agreed to kill them all, but after everything was finished, Yoon-sung asked Jinpyo if they could live together again in a secluded place where no one would recognize them. Besides, Yoon-sung begged to be allowed to meet his biological mother if she was still alive. Jinpyo didn't agree to the request to meet his mother, but he did tell Yoon-sung that his mother was still alive. Knowing these things was enough to make him determined to train even harder and fulfill what was supposed to be his destiny, to avenge the death of his biological father. Okay guys, that's the outline of the City Hunter movie story, Part 1. We'll continue with Part 2 in the next story outline content. Don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe to this channel to help the channel grow and not miss other content.